So guys, welcome back to F1 2017 Career Mode. We are here for the Japanese Grand Prix, and I have to say this is one of my strongest tracks of the entire season in terms of qualifying. And yeah, pretty much with the raw pace we had, this is one of our strong tracks, which is kind of surprising because it's pretty much a downforce track, and our downforce is shocking. But kind of going into the R&D tree, these department efficiency upgrades, I finally remember the name. I'm looking to buy the chassis department efficiency upgrade so that I can then, if I go on to Season 2 with this team, I can kind of buy upgrades at a reduced cost so that I can get the upgrades on faster, and then that'll make Season 2 a lot more kind of interesting with the amount of upgrades we have. But going into the grid now, and we start P6 ahead of Perez and Sainz, and also our rival Kvyat, which is actually really good. As I said, it was one of our strongest, if not the strongest, qualifying session of the entire season. But Kevin Magnussen and a bunch of other cars got a load of penalties, so they start further down the grid. So some people possibly got promoted. I think I was probably one of them, to be fair. But Magnussen is in 18th place. He's probably not going to get into the points this race, but I hope I'm wrong by that, and I hope he gets some points because we need to kind of strengthen our constructors campaign, because at the minute I've contributed a lot to the team in terms of that. But the strategy is a two-stop. It probably won't be like that, but going to the start of the race, 5 red lights, and it's lights out. Away we go with a really bad start compared to Verstappen, of course, and also I think that's Perez. Yes, it is Perez going side by side with us into turn 1. This is going to be very interesting. We lose the car mid-corner there, so we didn't really have enough rear downforce, to be fair, and of course downforce is one of our upgrading kind of focuses for next season, if not to the back end of this season. But we maintain P6, believe it or not, which is kind of surprising, but Verstappen is kind of going a little bit slowly, and all the other cars are going pretty slowly. The conditions are a bit treacherous at the moment. And as you can see, I just went onto the grass there. But then going on to lap 3, it was just pretty much trying to catch Verstappen. And yeah, he kind of got away a little bit. So we don't have the raw pace. We never have done. And we're going to have to kind of be very, very careful in terms of tyre wear and also trying to run a fast race. But Kevin Magnussen, unfortunately, with the penalty that he's had, well, he's now out of the race by lap 3, so that's just great. I have to now fly the flag for Haas alone. But there's a yellow flag, there's a car going very, very slowly, and it's Lance Stroll. I believe he's got a puncture, and yeah, we don't obviously get a position from that because he was behind us and he's been lapped effectively. But yeah, going into this corner, we are going to be trying to defend against Verstappen and make a mistake, but it's not Verstappen, actually it's Perez that we're defending against. And yeah, with the yellow flags pretty much close behind us, Perez wasn't able to overtake because they were in the part of the track where we're battling with Perez. But Perez now, green flag racing, he's going to go down the inside of turn 1. Let's see what we can do to defend. He goes way off track there. I nip it tight to the apex, but somehow Perez manages to hold it. But then I'm going side by side, give Perez a bit of a squeeze. He then bumps into me, going around the outside, turns to the inside for this one, and we're still battling side by side. It's pretty sketchy there, but eventually we do get past him through the S's. What an absolute battle that is. Going side by side in an S-bend is not good, and is going to be kind of difficult throughout the entire race because of our downforce. But now Perez again on lap 6 is looking for a move down the inside. He actually does make a move down the inside, and believe it or not, I have the outside line and get pushed wide, but Perez also gets pushed wide. I make a mistake, go onto the curbing, and now I've kind of lost a lot of time to Perez, so I think we're going to try and push as best we can. We're catching up to Perez a little bit. I am obviously a little bit frustrated, so I'm pushing more than what I should, and that's just resulting in oversteer and us losing even more time to Julian Palmer, who is behind us, believe it or not. So we're going to have to defend against a Renault, and I never thought I'd be defending against a Renault on this kind of part of the season. But now we have a safety car after a retirement, I think it was, or maybe it was because of the conditions. No, I remember it was the conditions, I believe, because I don't think anyone retired. But the safety car, now we have to pass the safety car, and then we have to catch up to the queue. So P7, Perez is obviously ahead of us. This is what we need now because we can push from here. But this, I believe this is what caused the safety car, because I really didn't know what the cause was. But Ocon going side by side with one of the McLarens there, goes and gets turned sideways there. That's Fernando Alonso, and as you can see, he was trying to hold it round the outside and bashes into him, into Ocon. And then, for some reason, I think Alonso has 0 damage, which is a bit weird. But I didn't know the front wing. I don't know who that came from. That was probably Ocon or something. But nonetheless, we are getting ready to restart this race. Here we go. We're going to try and have the legs over Perez here, and green flags. Away we go. We get a really good start, and Perez gets an absolute awful run through the final corner. So now we're going to possibly tuck in behind and possibly look for a move down into turn 1. We've got a lot of fuel on board because of the safety car there, but Perez is doing very well to park his car where it's needed. Ricciardo goes wide, and Perez just about avoids contact, and then he cuts right back on the racing line and kind of brake checks us a little bit. And we'll go around the outside through the first part of the S and get the move done up into P4. Verstappen is ahead. Yes, the Red Bulls are pretty much in the league of their own, so we're not going to catch them, I don't think, but I could be wrong. But nonetheless, going through this section, we have a moment. We have a big tank slapper of a moment, and man, that was scary. At the first point, I thought I was going into the wall. So from that, we lose 3 positions, sorry, going from P4 to P7. And that moment has cost us a load of time. I just kind of went wide slightly where the least grip is on the track, and that kind of spun me out basically. I nearly went into the wall. Disaster avoided, which is good. And we also get past Palmer shortly after that incident, so we're kind of recovering well from this. It's on to lap 13. The conditions are starting to lighten up, I believe. I don't think there was much rain as falling as what before, so we could be in the light rain stages very shortly, but of course my tyres are at 40%. And Ricciardo is directly ahead of us, and I think he's struggling, to be quite fair. I don't know how, to be quite honest, but Perez is probably holding him up. That's the only reason, really. But now as I try to get a good run here, Perez and Ricciardo come into the pit lane. They're going to pit for another set of intermediates. I was kind of wondering what strategy the AI would go on, but it's on to lap 18. We haven't even made our first stop until this point, so now the time is right to go on to the slick tyres. Jeff came over the radio to switch us over to the slick tyres. Ferrari are also coming in for their pit stop. We're fitting on the soft compounded tyre to go to the end of the race. It's pretty much kind of this situation whether or not I was going to go on to the mediums, but mediums, obviously, there's like 8 laps of the race left. Maybe even 9. There's 9 laps. And going on super softs is a little bit too aggressive and won't get us anywhere. But then, lap 20, Sebastian Vettel has been disqualified from this race, which is the first kind of disqualification I've ever seen in this career mode. So kind of one Ferrari out now. It's just back and forth between Mercedes and Ferrari in terms of retirements. 1 minute it's one Mercedes retiring, and then the other it's Ferrari, so it's kind of a bit annoying in that aspect. But Daniel Ricciardo is in P1, still on the intermediate tyres, so effectively we're net P1 in some ways, but we go around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. For some reason he's still keeping it side by side there. I don't know how he's found the grip. It's probably the chassis of the Red Bull that's doing him a favour, but eventually we get past just before the spoon corner, and we are in P1. And I never thought I'd be in P1 during this race, but we're leading for now. It's probably not net P1 because we've got Lewis Hamilton in third, who is not far behind Ricciardo. Lap 22, Ricciardo eventually made his stop, and now we have, lo and behold, Lewis Hamilton on the back of us. And I did say this wasn't going to be P1 for long, but I'm going to fight the best I can. As always, with the lead of the race, I'm going to fight with the top runners as best I can. I'm not going to just let them through. Going through 130R, Hamilton kind of does get a good run on us, and now he's probably going to look for a move. Yes, he does, down the inside of the chicane here, and is he going to do it? And I think he is. He certainly got past us when we made a mistake. We locked up into the first part of the chicane, so that kind of gave Hamilton the advantage, and he's also got DRS. So in that kind of situation, I kind of screwed over the lead for myself, but in a way it was going to happen anyway. It really was. But then lap 25, we have Max Verstappen on the back of us, looking very threatening, going through 130R right about now, and he still is behind us, thankfully. But hopefully we're not going to make the same mistake as what we did with Hamilton into the chicane. And yes, we do. We just make a less major error in some ways, because Verstappen is still behind us, and I eventually made the corner, so I kind of was defensive for the second part there. But it's 14.9 seconds, probably going to be like 16 seconds. Hamilton has over us, and going into turn 1, Max Verstappen with the great chassis of the Red Bull holds it round the outside there, and he gets up into P2. What an absolute move that was. So yeah, we can probably say goodbye to P2 as well. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, nonetheless, wins the race. Max Verstappen will come home for second. There's no way I'm catching Max Verstappen. Ricciardo is in P4, so he kind of got himself screwed over by the tyre kind of situation. But nonetheless, it's a podium. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with the podium. I'll take those points for Haas any day. And perhaps we can build on this in the last stages of the season.
And another great race. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
Well, I have to say, that was quite an interesting race. Believe it or not, it was very surprising that we were able to pull off the 1 stop and get P3. Everyone else pretty much did a 2 and a 3 stop there. So, you know, it was one of them races, really. We were able to kind of take advantage with the 1 stop. But Kimi Räikkönen, though, in terms of the World Championship, he's down. He's down on points. But then I was flashing back through the incidents kind of report, and a lot of people got speeding under virtual safety car penalties and safety cars. And also, Vettel got disqualified for parking in a dangerous location, which I don't understand at all. But after that race, we maintained P7, just 10 points behind Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship, and Magnussen still in 13th despite his retirement. And Ericsson goes ahead of Verline. I think that's the only change in the championship, to be quite fair. Yeah, it's just really bad towards the back end. Magnussen's on 24. It's kind of disappointing. Hamilton has a 30-point advantage over Kimi Räikkönen in the Drivers' Championship. But hopefully Kimi can bounce back and get some more points for Ferrari there. But in the Constructors, we are P4. Quite a long way behind Red Bull, I have to say. P4 is what we're fighting for this season. So, yeah, we're not going to be holding any kind of podiums in terms of the Constructors or Drivers this season. But at the end of that session, we have a bunch of resource points, 422 now. And also we gain a few points on our rivalry with Daniel Kvyat, which is all good because I've won all my rivalries this season and I want to continue that streak. And in terms of rep, well, Ferrari and Williams just love us, don't they? And so do Force India, with a significant gain for those teams, probably because of my excellent performance. I have to say, that was pretty good. But we're not going to be doing the invitationals. Well, that was kind of a bit of a disappointment because I didn't know one of the actual kind of core competencies was the invitationals. So yeah, eventually towards the back end of the season I will do these, but at the time I didn't realise. I haven't realised up till now, would be quite fair. But we have 422 resource points. We're not going to spend any, believe it or not, because we're going to focus on the department efficiency for next season if I do stay with the team. It's kind of uncertain at this point, but in terms of chassis, we've got a weight redistribution, which kind of helps with the weight kind of being more even between each side, so we kind of don't have the issue of tank slapping the car. But the fuel tank positioning is kind of one of the major upgrades, so that will make a significant difference, and is in fact one of the first major upgrades we can get, which is all fine and good because that makes a significant difference. In terms of engine though, I have got a department efficiency kind of point in that, but we will continue with engine development. In fact, we'll start engine development towards the middle of next season. Of course, I didn't really focus on it this season because, well, we have a Ferrari engine. We're quite strong in a straight line against the likes of Red Bull and every other team apart from Mercedes powered cars, so Williams, Force India, Mercedes itself. So yeah, we're going to focus on downforce. I'm kind of waiting for that kind of the amount of resource points to come through. It's 1,000 just to get like 10% off, which is annoying. But hopefully by the end of the season, fingers crossed, we'll get at least 2 upgrades for the department there to continue with downforce upgrades. But that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, guys. A quick overview of the team performance comparison graph just to end over. That was a very eventful race, so hit like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more F1 2017 career mode. And next time out, well, we're in Austin, so that's when the 1.9 patch will kick in. But that's going to be it from me, and I shall see you all next time.